Hello and welcome to Rise of Humanity. I am your host, Chris Karamaya. And for today's episode, I'm very pleased to be joined by my guest, Christy Whitman. Christy is a transformational success coach, two-time New York Times bestselling author and CEO and founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy, a 12-month transformational coaches training program. Christy is deeply committed to her mission of helping people to transform their lives and manifest their heart's desires with her amazing work. So Christy, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you. So it's one of my aims through this podcast to inspire people to become light work entrepreneurs and coaches and healers, therapists, teachers, all that kind of stuff, and just to do great things for humanity, really, in the form of a business. And obviously you're a great example of what is possible in this space. So if you'd be sort of happy to go into this and kind of create a breakdown for the process of like what it takes to be successful in this space for people who are listening and maybe would love to create this kind of business for themselves, and where do they begin? What's the first step in kind of starting to make an impactful business in this space?
That sounds great. So is that the question you're asking me? Is what's the first step?
Yeah, for people who are looking for some clarity and inspiration, maybe they don't even know where to start. What would be some kind of the first steps you would look into for that?
Well, I would first find out, like, what is your message? I mean, it really comes down to, who are you and what do you have to offer that's going to serve the people that are out there? Because when we're not clear on who we are and what our message is and who our ideal client is, it's a little hard to then attract them and market to them and even speak to them and then, find them to be able to even serve them. So the first thing I would say is you need to know, are you a coach? Are you a healer? Are you a speaker? What are you trying to do in the way that you do it? And then who is the one that you want to receive your message? Is it, women of 35 to 55 that are in business? Is it males that are trying to recover from alcohol? Is it, women trying to, kind of become back into the workforce after having children and having been home for a while? Is it someone that is a parenting expert? So you have to figure out what is the pain that you solve, or what is the desire that you help people get in whatever form and aspect, that you, in whatever way that is, whether it's as a healer, a coach, a speaker, in whatever way that you're in the helping profession. Really important to start there, just to know who you are and who you serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I suppose sort of going into that a bit deeper, is one of the big things that issues that they have is that I want to do something great for the world and I want to, serve people, but I don't really know what it is that I can do. Do you think it's like looking back at your past and your story and what you've done in your life, is that kind of the place to start to see what it is that we can bring to the world? Or is it more kind of making a conscious decision to kind of learn something today that you can then go and contribute to the world?
Well, I say, it's a little different than even those two options. For me, like if someone's saying like, I want to serve the world, I want to change the world, why? Why do you want to do that? And it's important because, when a lot of times when we desire to do something, is it coming from a place of being aligned and coming from a place of abundance, or is it coming from a place of lack? So are you looking at the world that it needs to be fixed and that there's something wrong with the world? Or is it that you want to add more light to those that you can contribute to? So I think knowing what your position is on that and what's the real reason that you want to serve the world in that way, is it that, excuse me, you want to feel a sense of purpose and you have passion in helping people? Then, when we say we want to serve the world, like, we think in very visual ways. And so when I hear someone, I want to serve the world, I want to be a world server, that's great and everything, but I now see the earth in front of me.
Yeah.
And you know. And that's the picture that comes in my mind. I'm like, yeah, but the how to do that, it's like, okay, let's make it more micro instead of so macro, because in when you go from the macro level, then instead of just saying like I want to serve the world, it's like, well, what part of that do you want to play in? Because not many of us are going to be like an Oprah Winfrey where she has global, presence and actually is, changing the world in that way from that kind of stage and that kind of platform. But each one of us has an ability to, add more light, to make someone's life a little bit less stressful, or, whatever our version of helping is. And so that's why it's really important as we come from like, I want to serve the world. It's like, well, why? What is the reason? What is that going to feel like for you? What is that when you actually are in service and doing something, you're seeking and serving the divine? What are you feeling? What is that for you? Is it being on purpose? Is it being in a space of success? Is it being in a space of abundance? Is it being in a space of compassion or love? Or, what is that essence? And then for you, each one of us, none of us are unique. What is your past, like you were saying, what is your past problems that you overcame? What's something that you could actually turn around and then help the next person behind you have a leg up? What is it that you can teach them from your own life experience, or your own assets, or your own skill set, or your own training that you've had, or the things that you've overcome, that could help someone either move away from the pain that they're having or move towards something that they desire? And if you keep that in mind of those two things, because either we're always either seeking pleasure or trying to run away from pain. And so to get clear on more of a grounded message of what pain did you have in your life and what did you overcome, and could you show people and help people, be that bridge for them from the pain that they're in to being out of pain? Or is it something that you know how to manifest money, or you know how to manifest healthy relationships, or you know how to, parent in a really conscious, loving way? And you've got all these different kind of tips that you could serve so many people by teaching them. When you look at it from that perspective, what would it feel like then to have your own version of helping in the world?
Yeah, this is awesome. And obviously you've got a very clear insight on what it is. Do you think that people, or do you see that people have resistance to kind of niching down and zeroing in on one specific problem? It's like, I think I can just help everybody. And you think maybe that you're kind of limiting yourself by choosing one group of people to help. Is that something you see?
Yes, I see that all the time. I mean, I've certified and trained over 3,000 coaches.
Wow.
And one of the things that we talk about in the Quantum Success Coaching Academy is that, you need to pick some area to focus on. So Mark Victor Hansen, says, pick a niche and grow rich, right? But it's more than that for me. It's like your market is out there, and how are you going to know what to say to them, how to say it, and how to find them? And you don't have to stay. I think the thing is that it's almost like, I think of it like dating, you don't want to pick this one person for the rest of your life until you're really, really sure. And that's a wise move to make when it comes to marriage. But in a business and in choosing a niche, you're not married. You don't have to be married. And once you dig deep inside of a niche and you've got that working and you're having success and you're able to help a lot of people in that area of expertise, then you can always move on and expand. I mean, one of my areas of expertise, and one of the books that I wrote back in my early days, about 15 years ago, was on how to help someone, heal from suicide. I wrote a book, Why Did She Choose Suicide? Because I had the experience of my sister committing suicide, and I was able to heal in a really spiritual and loving, connected way, and move on in my own life based on what my sister did. And so that was something for me that I wanted to show people how to do that, so that they can continue to live their lives and not be so affected by the people that they lost to suicide. And, and I created a great business around that. I went in high schools and colleges and I talked about suicide prevention. I wrote 2 books on suicide prevention, and realized that most of my talks and, practicing law of attraction for 20 years and universal laws, all of my talks basically ended with teaching them how to apply universal laws. And that's the key to happiness. And I would hate talking about suicide, and I would hate talking about my sister's story and, and all that. But whenever I would get to the 7 essential laws, I would feel lit up and everybody was like inspired. I'm like, that's what I want to talk about all day, every day, And so it morphed, it changed. And so then I was, teaching people when The Secret came out that it's not just about law of attraction, it's about the 7 essential laws. And that law of attraction, just one of many laws. It's an important law, but it's not even a law you apply. There's other laws that we as human beings have to apply. And then from there, I had people asking me, I want you to certify me. I want you to teach me what you do as a coach because you're so effective. I've worked with so many coaches before and they don't have that spiritual approach that you do, that energetic approach that you do. Teach me to do what you do. And that's in 2008, I created the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. And since then, my brand has unfolded, and the things that I talk about, the art of having it all, I just released a vice freedom program, because if we're stuck on a vice and we're beating ourselves up and things like that, we're not in the, so, things morph and change, and it will for every single person. I mean, you might know, for example, that you want to do something with parenting, but, to know what your niche is in the sense that, this information could be good for everybody, of course it can. If your information is tried and true, and how you help people is tried and true, and it works for, if it works for one person, it most likely will work for somebody else in a different area. It's important to pick one area, because then you know how to market to them. And I don't want people to be scared of the word market, but how you would find them, looking for clubs and organizations that would have the people that most need to hear your message. There's organizations or clubs or people that gather that you can search on the internet for. But if you're saying everybody, okay, there's no clubs that everybody is in. If you're wanting to help people that are nurses and, in that area have more compassion, for example, in their bedside manner, well, you can go to a bunch of different nursing clubs and organizations and, meetings and those type of things that you can find easily the person that you want to talk to. So I recommend, finding that person in your mind. I have my ideal client, and still to this day, is a woman that I met 10 years ago named Evelyn. She came to me wanting coaching because none of the aspects of her life were working. And I don't see Evelyn today because she's like totally different person. I see Evelyn who she was 10 years ago. So every time I write an email, every time I write my books, every time I am speaking on like a Facebook Live, every time I'm doing anything, I'm directing all of my everything to Evelyn, even though there might be, 50 or 100 or 200 people that I'm speaking to, or 200,000 even. I'm imagining all of them have the qualities and characteristics of an Evelyn.
Yeah, that's so awesome. A gold mine of information there. So do you think there's kind of an element of having to move back down to that level and kind of empathize or connect with where people are? Because I suppose one of the things is when you progress so well in your own life, you just feel like other people kind of maybe should get it too, and I suppose you have to reconnect on an emotional level to where maybe you once were in order to be able to connect with that ideal client. Is that something you've experienced at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, if you, for example, and I'm just going to use this as an example, if you struggled to quit smoking cigarettes and you had like this big struggle to do it, and it was the hardest thing you've ever done, and now you want to help people quit smoking cigarettes, talking to them at where they are in the pain point that they're in, with the desire that they have to become a non-smoker and to quit, speaking to them from your own pain and from your own struggle, and being able to be authentic and real and sometimes vulnerable, so that they understand that, oh, this isn't just a talking head, some kind of guru sitting on top of a mountain in the clouds. This is a person that lived their life, that had this too, but they also got over it. So they've got the answer. This something worked for them. I want to learn what worked for them. Maybe they can help me too. It's that feeling of, oh, me too.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice. So I don't know if this is something you deal with much with your coaching academy, but do you have any insight on that kind of taking that leap of faith from maybe if you're in a corporate job already and you start doing a coaching business on the side? Or I think people have a lot of kind of fear around taking that leap into, and maybe it stops them from even taking that first step in, can I really do this? Do you have to deal with that at all?
Yeah, of course we do. I mean, we deal inside the coaching academy, inside the QSCA is the name for short, for Quantum Success Coaching Academy. We talk about how a lot of it's mindset, and a lot of it is, there's a lot of people that, for example, when they become coaches, or when they get in the healing space, they might be able to earn an income at, like their corporate job. But now when it comes to quote unquote offering or selling you, because you are your services, right? You're selling a process, right? You're selling a result that the person's going to get when they hire you as a coach. And there's something that blocks a lot of people, that they're like, well, I could go over there and sell a bunch of widgets. But when it comes to selling myself and how great I am as a coach and how I'm going to help them, that's really difficult, because number one, if you're new to the industry, you don't have the understanding of the value that you have as a coach and the value that you can give to the other person. And what I love most, Chris, about this whole industry, and I'm so grateful that I stumbled upon it over 15 years ago, was that every step along the way is an opportunity for your own personal growth. And the great thing is that the deeper you go as a person yourself in your own spiritual journey, in your own spiritual growth, in your own personal growth, the more you can take your clients along, because you can't take clients to places that you yourself won't go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. I suppose it's like teach what you want to master kind of mindset, isn't it?
It is. There's a fine line between that, because I have a problem. Me personally, I'm all about integrity. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to teach someone to do something that I haven't done. Yeah. It'd be like, I hear this all the time. It'd be like a 300-pound person trying to show someone how to create their ideal body, or, how to lose weight. Or it'd be like someone that has, money issues and they've filed for bankruptcy, and they themselves have their financial, relationship is a disaster, trying to teach people how to make money. So, or someone that's, in and out of relationships that can't hold a relationship is going to teach someone how to keep a sustaining, loving relationship. For me, that's out of integrity, right? And yet there's something that, as a teacher, as someone that wants to help, as a helper, healer, coach, that when you want to teach something, so say that I've mastered my relationship with money, and now I want to teach other people how to master their relationship with money. By teaching it, I learn even more. That happened to me years ago. It was about 12 years ago. I created my first group coaching program, and already feeling abundant and already shifting from lack to abundance. And that was like a really big goal of mine, and a very something I was very aware of and very conscious at the time, because I realized how much I was in lack. I went around to all of my clients at the time. There's 5 of them, and I was still working in corporate America. And I asked them, okay, so in order for me to help empower all of you, instead of doing it individually and working nights and weekends trying to serve all 5 of you, what do you want to learn about? And all 5 of them, hands down, none of them knew each other, said, I want to learn about abundance. And I was like, great, I've got that, right? But in the process of teaching that class, I grew in my own understanding and consciousness of abundance. And, and each time after that, I would teach it maybe every couple of months with different clients. Each time after that, I would learn and grow and expand and have more examples and, more opportunities to overcome lack. And, and about 2 or 3 years into it, I put in another class. It started off as a 5-week class. And then because of the growth and information I learned, I added another whole 60 minutes of content. So, there's a difference between having the knowledge, starting to live from that place, and then teaching it versus not there at all. Like if I was just totally in lack and had no idea about abundance and started teaching about abundance, I'm out of integrity.
Yeah. And it would fall apart eventually, wouldn't it? If it even got off the ground.
Yeah. There's people in this industry, unfortunately, and it's just like any other industry, right? There's people that are really in integrity. They really walk their talk. They're really honest. They're in it for the right reasons. They're very clear of what those reasons are. And then there's other people that are just in it for the money. And the integrity part is really not important to them. And those people will be found out. And those reputations, and I see it happening in this industry all the time. The people that are not real and true and that are just in it for the money and that really don't have a good quality product or don't have the energy behind, really wanting to service and help people, that it's just about the money for them. It all comes up and it all comes out in the wash.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I suppose there's different degrees. Like I've heard of like people who, for example, who are wealthy and successful, and then in doing one thing, but they teach like how to do product launches, but that's not how they make most of their money. So they're enrolling all these people into their program, saying this is how to make lots of money, but whereas they're making millions doing something else, which I suppose in a way it works, but at the same time, you're kind of selling people on something really that you're still not living off yourself in a way.
Yeah. And, we all have to start somewhere, right? So that's where that balance of integrity and also knowledge and knowing that you will grow. I mean, I know people that will start doing Facebook agencies and then say that they can help you do Facebook ads. And, because they themselves did maybe something and got success. And now they're like, oh, I'm a guru at this. I'm a marketing genius at this. And then they start to bring other people on, and yet they're just taking their money because they're not giving them the results. So, I mean,
yeah,
there's a fine line.
Yeah. There's something else you touched on there about group coaching. I mean, for people beginning in this industry, do you think there's any kind of correlation between like being in integrity and starting group coaching versus one-on-one, or is it just really, do you think it's more just kind of a preference thing?
It's both. Well, so first of all, it's some people are really good with one-on-one coaching, and that's what they love. That's what, they thrive at that. And doing a group coaching class is just not their thing, right? So it's different for every single person. For me, I'm an amazing healer. I'm an amazing coach. I love working one-on-one with people, and my clients get amazing results. But I could get the same results for my clients in a group coaching setting. And I love doing that because I'm one to many, and I'm having more impact. So I don't do one or the other. I do both. And obviously, those that want to spend more time with me alone in more of that intimate way, one-on-one, it's a different way of relating, but it also is a different in costs. So I remember years ago, and it really shocked me to find this out. I had one woman who took every single, she would never do any type of like one-on-one coaching with me. But anytime I had a course, it could be creating your ideal body, attracting your ideal relationship, it could, creating money, doesn't matter what the course was, she was in, she always would register. And back in the day, this is 10 years ago, when someone signed up for a group coaching program with me, they would get 30 minutes one-on-one coaching time with me as a bonus. And this woman, her name was Helen, she had 3.5 hours of one-on-one coaching time with me that she never took advantage of. And when I even approached her with it, I'm like, you have like 3.5 sessions with me, 3.5 hours with me. And she's like, yeah, I'm good. She didn't want that level of intimacy. She didn't want that level of exposure, if you will. And so, but she loved learning in the group setting. So if you don't offer group coaching, you might be limiting the amount of people that actually may not want the one-on-one coaching. And then if you don't offer the one-on-one coaching, you might be limiting to those people that just want that. I just had that happen with a client the other day. She's like, I know you were offering the group coaching thing. She's like, but I just want to be one-on-one. I'm like that. I don't like to learn in a group setting. I would rather have my mentor, my coaches be one-on-one with me. I'd rather be very drilled down. I would get more, with me than just to be in a group of people. And so it's really anybody's preference of what they prefer. And we all learn differently. So the more you can offer and the more different forms you can offer it in, then the better it is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like the variability of that, because I really thrive in group coaching programs. I love the energy, but I've definitely noticed how there's some people who, like, if it's a private Facebook group or something, there's some people who have joined the course and they never post a single time, and you can tell that they kind of enjoy that kind of that's being able to stand back and not be kind of overwhelmed by a one-on-one situation if they find that a bit too much. So yeah, it's quite interesting that you made that distinction. That's cool.
Yeah, it's important, again, to know your clients and to know who, instead of going, I want to serve the world. Okay, well, there's people in the world and there's people with problems in the world, and you have information that, and skill set and life experience and stories and, things that you've overcome that are different than I have. And so you have a different set of people, billions of people on the planet. There's no shortage. And you could do it in a different way, but just understand that there's many different learning styles. And so when you can help someone, some people they love to read, like, for example, I've learned from being in this industry for 15 years now. Some people will never go to a live program, they'll never do a group coaching program, but they love to read, so they're the first to buy a book, right? Or they're the first to download an ebook because they like to read. Some people will never buy an ebook because they want to feel the book, they want to feel the pages as they turn them. They want that feeling of a bound book. So the more, and then some other people will never do stuff online, believe it or not, in this day and age. They want to actually go and see you and they'll be the first to sign up for a live program to learn from you. So you really have to look at all the different learning styles. Some people are auditory. They just want to hear, maybe they don't want to see you. They don't want to be seen, but they want to maybe listen on a telephone or on the webinar, and hear what you have to say. Other people, are kinesthetic. They want to see and touch, be able to walk up after a speech and touch you and go, oh my God, and hug you,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it seems like you've got, I suppose, yeah, it just all comes down to preference, but you've got kind of all bases covered, because you obviously two-time New York Times best-selling author as well. Do you enjoy the dimension that, the prior coaching, the group coaching, the books? Do you enjoy all the kind of different dimensions that brings to your business then?
Yeah, it does. I mean, for me, it's the fact that it has impacted, because the book hit the New York Times list, it's impacted a lot of people. So that feels really good from a service perspective. And from a business perspective, it does give a lot of credibility, because there's not everybody can say they're a 2-time New York Times bestselling author. There's people that can say they're a bestselling author because their book hit the the list on Amazon for a day, and there's a lot of people that are doing that. So it's a big differentiating, thing in a bio, right? So it's just about credibility and it's perception that people have. For me, that was a whole just growth period for myself, because when I became an author, around 15 years ago with my first book, Perfect Pictures. I was like, I want to become a New York Times best-selling author, and I want to be on Oprah, and the whole thing. I just like, what's the biggest success, measure of success when you're an author? It's like, okay, besides getting a Pulitzer Prize, it's like hitting the New York Times best-selling book, or getting on that. And so that became a goal for me for years. And like I teach, right? I felt my way in and through that. So I would always feel like, what would it feel like to be a New York Times bestselling author? How would my life be different? What would that look like? And I would imagine it and visualize it. And it was really interesting the day that happened. And, obviously it just didn't happen. There were strategies that were put in place, and a lot of hard work went into it. But I remember my kids were 4 and 5 at the time, and maybe even younger. And yeah, they must have been a little younger. And I was at the mall with them, and they were in a double stroller. So I think they were 2 and 3. So they were in like a double stroller. I was at the mall, and my literary agent called me, and she said, "Congratulations." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "Your book hit number 5 on the New York Times list." And I was like, "Oh my God, it happened. I'm a New York Times best-selling author, And I kneeled down to my boys, and I'm like, "Mommy's a New York Times best-selling author." And they're looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" Like, like, "Okay, Mommy." And I'm like, okay, so that was, kind of flat. And then, Oprah didn't call, and, I didn't have like a bunch of people calling me to do speaking engagements. I mean, nothing in my life changed, literally nothing. And I'm like, well, that was just a bust. It was like, here's this goal that happened. And I got to be honest, because I was feeling my way into it, and what I teach, obviously I was a vibrational match for it. It was like I had already been acting as if I was. And when it happened, nothing changed. And it kind of depressed me. I was like, here's this huge goal. Now I can call myself a New York Times bestselling author. Absolutely nothing has changed. And it was like, wah, wah, wah. It was, well, what was all that for then? So it was just interesting. So that I had a perception that something would I don't know if I thought a parade would go through my house, or, what I thought, but nothing really changed. So.
Yeah. That's funny. But definitely, I think the scale of it, and obviously, like as you said, some people like to read. I mean, you can't necessarily always guarantee someone's going to have the same transformation reading a book as they are from private coaching. Well, some people might, but just having that, being able to reach people on such a big level, and I think do you see that kind of as one of the big advantages of group coaching as well? Because just the scalability and how you can leverage your time. Because I suppose if you're working one-on-one, there's only so many hours in a week that you can work with clients one-on-one, isn't there?
Well, that's it. You're trading time for dollars when you look at it for that way. It's like I can only, coach so many people in a day. So that, I'm all about abundance. And anytime I feel limited in any way, it's like, okay, what are the options or solutions for this? And I actually got this idea from about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, I think, from a guy named Steve Harrison from Bradley Communications. And he said, what if you took each and every one of your clients and put them into a group coaching program and taught them the same thing that all of them want to learn? And he's like, you could be working 1 hour a week instead of 5 on your coaching. And I thought about it, and I'm like, wow, because at the time I was still working in corporate America. So wow, I could save time and probably make more money. And the cool thing is that my clients, because one-on-one coaching, you're trading time for dollars, is more expensive than group coaching, they found it more affordable. And so it opened me up to, instead of like, I used to speak at the Learning Annex and, all over the country, but especially in New York, I go in Manhattan and do the Learning Annex, and I would do like a 3.5-hour workshop. And if I was just to, meet someone for the first time and say, do one-on-one coaching with me, it's kind of like, okay, we're going to go on a first date. Now I'm going to ask you to marry me, but but offering a group coaching program, which is less intimate because they're getting, they're not getting 100% of my attention and time. More people feel comfortable to do that. And it's like, okay, that's like going on a date. And I'm able to, no matter how many, I mean, I just started a program, like I mentioned in January, where 110 people signed up for the course. And I'm teaching this, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people there or 110 people there. I'm teaching the same information, but now I'm maximizing the amount of reach that I have, the amount of service that I'm giving, the amount of people that are transforming, and of course, then more money, because there's only so much I would be able to charge a client one-on-one versus if I'm teaching a group of 110 people each week for, 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I suppose it kind of depends how big you want to go, but I always feel like it's almost like a duty, someone's duty to eventually launch a group coaching program, because just the amount of more lives that you can impact, and the accessibility, as you said, that they're not as expensive and working one-on-one. I think I always see it as like a duty, really, but I suppose a lot of it comes down to preference, really.
It is. It's preference and learning styles, but I agree with you, Chris, because it's like, for me, I feel like my sole purpose here, and my sole purpose is to seek and serve the divine. So for me to continue to seek that divine connection within myself and to serve from that connection, what I call alignment, and then moving forward with momentum. In everything that I do, whether I'm parenting or whether I'm with my husband or whether I'm with my friends, hiking a mountain, or, if I'm doing my work, it's like my sole purpose is to seek and then serve the divine. And then I also happen to have a business in which I do the same thing. And, for me, it's really how many more people can I help return back to their own divine selves. And the more people I can do that, and the more ways that I can do that in, whether it's, I have online programs where people can go and not even have any interaction with me, but they have a downloadable video program where they're learning from me. It's very intimate because I'm looking at them through the computer, and they're learning the same information that I taught in my group coaching programs when it was live and there was 10 people in it. So, there's many other ways to do that, because I have people that, as much as they want to do one-on-one coaching with me, or even do like some kind of live group coaching with me, they either will live in a totally different time zone, maybe on the other side of the country, so the times don't work for them, or they can't, right now afford it. They don't have the budget for that. So having something that's like a downloadable program, or a video program that takes them through lessons, there's another opportunity to serve more people in a different capacity.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like what you said there. It's quite interesting about serving the divine, and then the business being another way of doing that, because I think having a business, an impactful business, is definitely, one of the best things that you can do. But I think people kind of almost fall into the trap of, they think that they are their business, and they become so identified with it that it's like that's the only way that they can ever make an impact in the world. But having that a big overarching vision of serving the divine, and then the business being another way of doing it, I think that's quite a cool way of looking at things.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So what does the future hold for you then? I mean, obviously you're doing so well at the moment, and you got all your quantum success coaching academy as well. Do you have any kind of big goals for the future, or is it matter of like scaling what you're doing now? Do you have those kind of plans?
I have both, actually. I have a new book coming out in September called Quantum Success in Your Career. So it's, me applying everything I do, everything I teach, everything I coach from is helping people apply the 7 essential laws. So it's helping to apply the 7 essential laws, to your business or career, whether you're looking for a job or you're wanting to get a job promotion, or if you have your own business, you're starting your own business. whatever aspect of your career you want more success in. This book is going to help you be able to do that. So that's coming out in September, and creating the strategies of what cities I'm going to go to, and what bookstores I'm going to go to, and speaking engagements that I'm going to do, and so that's that. A lot of the strategies of what's to come is really what's going on right now. And it's always scaling the business. Obviously, how do we seek and serve more? And different ways of doing that. So we have our coaching academy. The Quantum Success Coaching Academy always launches in April. So we have the classes start in May, and then we also have classes that start in October. So that's always a focal point of, what kind of content are we going to provide those people that are thinking about becoming a coach, and helping them decide if the Quantum Success Coaching Academy is for them, and yeah, so we just started launching this month a program to help people open to their channel and open to their guides. So we've always got new stuff that we're doing that people are asking for, and then like, yeah, that's what I do. How could I teach someone how to do that? So
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was gonna, obviously it's a whole other topic, but I've seen the emails. I've been practicing learning to channel myself, but I saw the emails of the channeling program that you're bringing out, and it looks awesome. Is that just like a quick insight, kind of what impact that's had on your life or on business, and just kind of how it takes things to the next level? Because it sounds awesome.
yeah, I mean, channeling for me is like, all of my books have come through me. And like, I've had, that's one thing that changed when I became a New York Times bestselling author is, my literary agent and publishers are like, okay, so when's your next book? Let's look at your next book. And I'm like, I don't know what my next book is, because I don't work like that when it comes to my books. They're channeled through me. I mean, the art of having it all channeled through me. Within 2 weeks it was written, and be edited and all that. Perfect Pictures came through me in 7 nights at 1:05 in the morning, 7 nights in a row. So my books are, I've come to know myself as a channel because of how I would open up and my pen would hit paper, and then my arm was not my own. It was like my arm took on a life of its own. And I would like sit back and watch my arm just bring through this information. Like, this is the weirdest thing ever. My book that's coming out in September, I was on a cruise ship, and at 3:00 in the morning, I got woken up with this information. My kids and my husband are asleep, and we had a beautiful, big suite, but one's on the couch, one's in a separate room. My husband was in our room, and then the only place I had to go was in the bathroom. So I'm crouching down this small little bathroom, with my hand going a mile a minute for like about 3 hours. And that book got channeled in 3 hours on the bathroom floor of a cruise ship. So when it happens and where it happens, I've dedicated myself to say, okay, I know this isn't going to be convenient sometimes, but I'm willing to be open. And a lot of my group coaching programs, I mean, everything that I pretty much do in my business, when I get that urge or that voice that says, email this person or text that person or go to this meeting, when I am open to the guidance that's always there from my divine, from the, when I'm a channel for that, that's when I call alignment. And from there, the physical part of me, the co-creative partner with the divine, which is the physical part, that the divine can't send an email. It needs me to do that, that part. When we co-create together and I am obedient and listen to the download, like get up and write this information down, and I'm obedient and I do it, it always ends up really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And have you tried to do it before without it being channeled and it just like turns out forced? Have you ever kind of experienced that?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And that's why I said I'm not ever writing a book. I've got 2 other books in the wings right now because they've already been channeled through me.
Okay.
And so, I tried to write a book once, and that's what it felt like. I'm trying to write a book. was just like, oh, this is so horrible. And so that's, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And did you, with that program then, was that specifically targeted at entrepreneurs, or was it just for anyone really?
The channeling program?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for anybody. I mean, anybody that wants to
Yeah.
be a helper, healer, anyone that just, because, for whatever you're doing in your life, to have yourself be guided by your divine self, whether it's in business or even in your personal life. I mean, it's pretty amazing to open up to that, knowing that you've got something watching out for you and guiding you, and being able to have an experience of connecting with that part of you, and knowing when the voice, because you could be kinesthetic and you feel something that you need to do something, or you can get a visual picture of something that you need to do, or you can hear something. So channels speak to us in different ways based on how we actually hear the information or how we receive the information. So it's practicing, I always say that channeling is both a skill and a gift. And it's a gift that we all have, but it's a skill that we have to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if you could just share with the listeners where they can find out more about your work and the Quantum Success Coaching Academy as well, because I think that's sounds like a really awesome program for people who are looking to make a coaching impact in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find all roads lead to ChristyWhitman.com. So you can go on there, and the downloadable products I was talking about, are on there. The Quantum Success Coaching Academy information and the classes that we offer, because it's not just the certification program. We have a Reiki course, a hypnotherapy course, an energy body course, the channeling course. We have a creating money practitioner course. So it's a whole academy with advanced classes. And so you can go to ChristyWhitman.com, and when you do, you actually will receive 7. But when you put in your name and your email and join my family, the community, which I call my family, you get 7 meditations that will help you to know yourself and your life as unlimited. And then, as you know, Chris, every Monday I come out with a new show called the Quantum Success Show, where I tackle interesting topics that will help you shift your perceptions, your energy, learn more about the universal laws, so that you can either move away from the pain that you're having in whatever aspect, whatever conditions you have in your life that are unwanted, and move towards the things that you do want, and move towards a world in which you live personally, where you know yourself and your life is unlimited.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Anyway, and thank you for coming on and sharing all this knowledge and a lot of gold information here for the listeners and for the aspiring light workers in the world. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank you for having me. It does mean a lot that you reached out, and I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you, Chris. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and definitely be sure to check out Christy's work on the web. She's got an abundance of awesome training material that you can use to start transforming your life today, and I'll put all the links that you need in the show notes for you to check that out as well. So that is it for today, guys. I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.